and we'll be getting plenty of reaction from the clubhouse. And that takes us a nice segue, the Dodgers into sports and the lawn. We're happy to welcome Steve Moskowitz, our resident legal expert, back to Chronicle Live. Good to see you again.
Thanks.
Exciting stuff to talk about. Exciting for everybody except maybe Frank and Jamie McCourt, who are really getting put through the grinder here in L.A. Their divorce trial got underway on Monday, and this has been fascinating stuff. It's almost a shame it's not on TV because it might be fantastic ratings, but basically the fate of the Dodgers is in the hands here. Right now, Frank says, hey, I've got a post-nuptial agreement that Jamie signed. She's a lawyer with an MBA from MIT who knew what she was signing. That's his case, saying that the Dodgers are Frank's, and she's contending that, well, she didn't really know what she was signing and that there were multiple copies of the agreement. What can you tell us about your understanding of this case?
A lot. First of all, in almost any contract, especially one of this magnitude, there are many, many drafts, and if you have 100 drafts that say she owns it, and the 101st is the one she signs that say she doesn't, that's it. She doesn't. You can't say, well, wait a minute, there are 100 copies that said I did. It doesn't matter. That's why you're negotiating. You have the drafts going back and forth. So the fact that you had previous ones, that's so common. No, you have a post-nup where she went ahead and signed it, and that's the one that should stand.
Is there any chance, I mean, obviously her lawyers are trying to poke holes in this, but based upon what you've seen, does this seem like it's a legally binding agreement?
Normally there are, and if this judge holds otherwise, that's going to be a major problem in the state of California. The bottom line is, it seems that she was very adequately represented, as was he, and if anything, she should be looking to that other lawyer, not her husband.
All right, here's some of the things. Frank McCourt has been on the stand since Tuesday. Today was his last day on the stand, and some of the things that he's been testifying about really contend to set up the fact that they did this simply because they wanted to protect their other assets if the Dodgers lost money, so that they couldn't be brought to court by other people wanting to take away their houses or their other property. And Jamie was on board with that because she wanted to have a nest egg. Is that why they did it like this, or do you think he was trying to pull a fast one?
You know, not at all. With the quality of lawyers they had, nobody's pulling a fast one on anybody. This is something that is scrutinized, carefully worked out. There's no fast ones here. Asset protection is something very important. We do that for clients all the time because a lot of times you want to separate assets in case something goes wrong and you lose everything in the business. The couple still has something. That's real important. But they have something else that I'm really worried about. If I'd be one of the lawyers, hasn't seemed to come out. They went to the bank and said, hi, lend us some money, and they both signed as partners. That seems like bank fraud to me. That's a federal felony. That's a big deal. Nobody seems to be talking about that, and that's something I think a lot of attention should be paid to.
Well, and Jamie's lawyers are bringing that up, saying, hey, you know what, you signed this document as well, saying that Jamie was a co-owner, but you're right, that is something that the authorities are probably going to be paying attention to. Frank McCourt also testified, this was on Tuesday, that he was, quote, not looking for something in return and signing an agreement that both sides said was designed to protect their assets, and Dennis Wasser, who's one of Jamie's lawyers, says that's our whole case. What does he mean by that?
You know, again, I think they don't have the case that they're making. I think they're really clutching at straws because an agreement was struck. You have two wealthy people here. This is a big deal, and they were looking at asset protection. If things had, look at the Dodgers. You have their terrible financial problems. This could have turned out where, especially if there were personal guarantees demanded, that all of a sudden Frank finds himself broke, and he's saying to his wife, hey, I'm glad you have something, and please support me. That's the reason a lot of people do asset protection, and that's one of the things could happen. Citibank turned them down and said, look, you're too heavily in debt. They can't get the right players. They had all types of problems. But they have other problems, too. For example, he came in and he testified he's going to slash the salaries and raise the prices. Then he goes ahead and he tells the fans, look, we're the opposite. So again, did he induce people to invest on a false basis? These are all problems.
Well, that's something that I asked you about in the green room, because I'm wondering, could there be a class action suit possibly by season ticket holders based upon, hey, the new owner says, I'm not slashing salary, I'm here to try to win, and he testifies in court openly. That was his business plan all along, was to try and make this thing more profitable. One last question. The case will hear some more testimony tomorrow. As I said, Jamie McCourt will take the stand tomorrow in L.A. Then they're going to take a break and not be back in a courtroom until the 20th of September. What's the reasoning behind that?
I think the judge was real smart here. Basically what he's done is sometimes these type of hearings can serve as a reality check where the two sides just can't hear each other. They just can't. And the judge goes ahead, he takes testimony, and then says, okay, people, go away, take another try at settling this. And all judges would prefer the case to be settled, and that's why I think the judge did it.
By the way, one thing I think that might go against Jamie's side, I'm not a lawyer, but she tried to get Frank in 2008 to draw up some paperwork that would give her half of the team. Why would she need that if she thought she already had it?
Of course. Again, I think Frank really has it here.
All right. Steve, good to see you. Thanks for the time. And unfortunately, we're out of time with Steve Moskowitz, but we are not out of time on the show. When we come back, we're going to be joined by the commissioner of the West Coast Conference. We're going to talk about the addition of BYU to the basketball.